Hello, my name is Linn Forhan. This message is for the members of the State Executive Committee of the Ohio Democratic Party and all other Ohio Democrats. I would like to tell you a story, but first I want to say two things. One, I support the candidacy for Ohio Attorney General of Elliot Forhan, who is my son. And two, I support the complaint submitted this past week by Elliot to the Ohio Democratic Party against Allison Russo for first knowingly, falsely portraying him as a violent criminal and severely damaging his reputation. Second, imposing restrictions on him that prevented him from doing the state representative job that he was duly elected to perform. And third, for participating in a malicious, false prosecution of him in an abusive process. Ms. Russo also knowingly, falsely portrayed Elliot as mentally ill and suicidal. I urge Ohio Democratic Party Chair Kathleen Clyde to follow the ODP bylaws and refer Elliot's complaint to the Ohio Democratic Party violations examiners. Now I would like to tell you my story. The story involves two people, Elliot Forhan and Allison Russo. On November 16th, 2023, which happened to be Elliot's birthday, I received a call from a person named Dontavius Gerals. Mr. Gerals was and is a state representative and was at that time serving as an officer of the Ohio House Democratic Caucus. Elliot Forhan was at that time a member of the caucus, and Allison Russo served at the time as the leader of the caucus. On that day, my wife Patty and I took the call together. Mr. Gerald said that he was calling to tell us that our son was in a mental health crisis and was suicidal. Mr. Gerald told us that he was a mental health professional, saying, "I am a counselor. I know the signs." Mr. Gerald said that the Democratic leadership team had made some decisions, that the leadership team was preparing a media announcement, that they were still editing it, and that it would soon be released, possibly that very afternoon. At my request, Dontavius Gerals agreed to send me the link to the media report. Mr. Gerals later texted me the link to the Cleveland.com article. I pause for a moment to comment on what Mr. Gerals said and did that day. My wife and I later learned that most of what he told us was false. The mental health of our son Elliot was perfectly fine. He was never in any mental health crisis. He was never suicidal. Also, Mr. Gerals was not a mental health professional. He has no educational credential in mental health. He was not a counselor. While he did work at a behavioral health agency, he worked in a policy, not a clinical role. One thing that Mr. Gerals told us that was true was that Allison Russo planned to give to the media what she had written about Elliot. That's very interesting. Right now in court, Allison Russo's lawyers are arguing that the only reason that Allison ever gave to the media the report about Elliot, the defamatory memorandum about him, is because a reporter had made a public records request. So therefore, she should be entitled to government immunity for defaming him. That's false. Mr. Gerals told us that Allison was planning to give it to the media, even as she was finishing writing it, even while they were still editing it. As we realized the impact of Allison Russo's false report to the media, it became apparent to us that Mr. Gerals' cruel lies to us were one of the building blocks in the narrative that Ms. Russo was creating about Elliot. To return to my story, the following morning I received yet another call from Mr. Gerald asking how I was doing. I responded to what I believed to be genuine kindness on his part. In response to his question, I replied, like you, I was an employee of the state of Ohio. I taught at Ohio University for 40 years. And from my very first day on the job, I knew that if I ever believed that one of my students, one of my colleagues, or one of our support staff members was considering suicide or self-harm, there were a number of things I should do. Seek guidance and support from the campus or community mental health services. I told Mr. Gerald that I would never contact the media to expose that person as suicidal or manic or considering self-harm. I told him that I would never do that because I knew, we all knew, that to publicly expose someone by name to the media, someone who we sincerely believe to be in crisis, who might genuinely be suicidal, doing that might well be the very thing to push that individual over the edge, to push that individual to take his or her own life. Mr. Gerald replied that unfortunately, he could not control what the leader of his caucus reported to the media. That leader was Allison Russo. Allison Russo authorized the release to the media of her report describing Elliot as suicidal and violent and dangerous. In less than 24 hours, these lies were being reported in Cleveland.com, the Columbus Dispatch, the Ohio Capital Journal, USA Today, NPR, and the Associated Press. I reflect on what Mr. Gerald said to me on that second morning. He said that he could not control what Allison Russo reported to the media. He was not disagreeing with what I had just said to him. That is, he did not disagree that if you ever believe that one of your colleagues was considering suicide or self-harm, you would never contact the media to expose that person as suicidal or manic or mentally ill. If Allison Russo sincerely believed that Elliot was in crisis, that he was in danger of taking his own life, then her decision to provide to the media her memorandum showed a callous disregard for his safety, for his very life. But Allison Russo never believed any of that. Russo knew that Elliot was not suicidal, not in crisis. Her decision to present him as such to the media was a vicious smear, a ploy to destroy his reputation. Allison Russo knew that what she was saying was false. She wanted to silence a colleague and used her authority to do so. She abused her power, and she abused the values that we all share of supporting good mental health. She cheapened the mental health values for everyone when she falsely accused Elliot of mental illness and being inclined to suicide. I am a voter in my mid-70s. I am a teacher, a former United States Peace Corps volunteer, and a lifelong Democrat. I am not so naive to be shocked by dishonesty. But when I think of our democratic values, of the reasons why I have been so proud to be a Democrat, so willing at any age, at my age now, to knock on doors, thousands of doors. When I think about what it has meant to be a Democrat, I am heartbroken that members of our own party, members in leadership positions who are asking for the trust and the confidence of voters, that these people would engage in such cruelty and dishonesty. We Democrats say that we want people to step up and run for office, but then members of our own party choose to function as gatekeepers, deciding who the voters will be permitted to meet and converse with. Members of our Democratic Party are deciding that they will silence and shun certain candidates. This is what I would expect from Pam Bondi, but not from Ohio Democrats. We must be better than this. I ask you to put a stop to the shunning and silencing that this candidate is experiencing, and that you allow Ohio voters to make up their own minds about whom they will vote for. Thank you for considering my request.